Okay, so we've discussed about how to practice correctly, about how guessing at golf is so detrimental to your game. But how do we apply that on the golf course? It doesn't take that much time, it doesn't take that much effort. And I'm not going to go into depth into the simple process. I'm just going to explain to you just what goes on and how quickly you can adjust your golf game. So we're on a par 5 here. It's about 530 yards, I believe. We've got the wind. This is the process, what you need to do. We've got the wind coming across. We've got the variables of quite a strong breeze coming left to right. And as we've got down the fairway, we've got a left to right kind of shot shape, okay? So everything is going to be pushing that direction. That's what's happening. But what too many of you would do is you're just chatting to your friends or whatever it might be, and you'll just tee the ball up and you think, okay, I want to hit a driver, and you just go ahead and hit a driver. Like, yeah, I want to make that sort of swing. I want to hit it on the fairway. But what I wager would happen to many of you, because the wind is pushing that way and there's trees to the right, a common spot that I'll see golfers on, especially on this hole, is all the way to the right down here. Okay, so we're showing the lump of trees on the right. That's where people end up, or past that there's another sort of grouping of trees, and it is a killer. And most of the time it's because they're hitting a fade, a slice, or whatever you want to call it, but they're not giving themselves a chance. They're just guessing at it. They're not setting up a plan. So you've got to give yourself a plan. You've got to give yourself a plan to choose the target, to hit a shot and think, okay, how am I swinging today? I'm going to hit a fade. The shot is coming left to right. But you know what? I want to try and nudge a little bit of a draw into it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be very precise in my strategy here. I'm going to be precise in my strategy and my intermediate point and matching it all up. But I've taken those into consideration. And the swing I want is going to be a low draw. That's the swing I want. And that's the feeling, that's the plan, and that's the overview. You can't just get up here and give it a whack. Because this is what most people will do. They'll just tee it up, whether it's a 3-wood or driver, and they'll just go ahead and think, okay, yeah, I don't want to slice it, and they'll do some kind of swing like this. They'll be tense, and they're not thinking about anywhere where that ball's to go. They're just trying to sort of make contact, okay? And it'll go something like that. And I don't know if you can see that, but that's gone exactly where we've predicted, okay? It's done that high fade. We're behind the trees. It doesn't work. Now, what you need to do is be precise. Feel the shot that you want to do. Tell your brain where you want the swing to go. Be precise. So I want a low draw, and I'm going to go that way. And we hit the shot down the fairway, and it's gone much more where you want it to go. And we'll proceed to the next shot in a moment. They're all pretty much doing what everyone does. Maybe one practice swing. They're looking down the fairway. It's not like they're, but it's one practice swing. All he's thinking about really is where his swing's going, trying to make contact. He's looking down the fairway, but with no real precise action. And every single one of them so far has gone right. So yeah, I'm trying to demonstrate here about that they're guessing at golf each time. So they weren't terrible, but they all did exactly what I said they would do. And I haven't shot this and then done my little bit about explaining. This is how it works. What you just saw there is a perfect example of average golfers making the mistakes that should be very easily avoided. It's nothing about swing technique. It's nothing about complication. It's just about being more precise with your plan, having a plan for every single shot, and to stop guessing. So we've hit the tee shots. This is the one where I didn't guess, where I set a plan. We're on the fairway, okay? The one where I didn't, where I just gripped it and ripped it is down here in the rough. And we had the clip of those other golfers as well, right? They were all, I think one was further sort of shorter to the left, but they were all around here. And this is the difference. The only thing I did differently was not be precise in my shot, because the wind was coming across, and 3 out of the 4 golfers ended up around this area, you know, blocked out by the trees that we see here. So all of a sudden, right, all of a sudden, by not having a plan, we've got a really difficult, crappy golf shot here. You know, even if you're a good golfer, this is quite hard. For a start, I'm off the bark, so I wouldn't actually love to hit this shot anyway. But the only shot I've got left, again, people would just say, okay, I'm screwed. I'm either going to chip out to the left, or I'm just going to try and get it over those trees. Even from this shot here, trying to get it over the trees back onto the fairway, you've got to be precise. You have to be very specific about, I just said, I want to get over those trees onto the fairway. It has to be more than that. Don't just guess. I want it to go over that little dent in the trees there. So we've got that spot on the trees, but you know what? I'm not going to risk my wrist here. I'm just going to play it out the rough a little bit. We're still going to get the same effect, okay? But this is the point. I'm being precise with my swing. I'm being precise with my shot. I'm going to hit a high fade over that dip onto that lump of grass that's lighter on the fairway, but I'm being precise. It's very important. And I've got pretty damn close to that spot. Simple as that. I know I moved it from the rough, but hey, I'm not going to break my wrist just for the sake of it, and nor should you. But let's move back onto the fairway over here, okay? So we've got this shot that we played on the fairway. I do have a 7-iron in my hand because, I mean, we've got about 240, I think, 230. Yeah, it's about that. So I could go for the green, but again, I'm going to be a bit more specific in what I'm trying to do here. I'm not just going to say I'm going to lay up. I'm going to imagine that I'm kind of playing a par 3, because there's lots of trouble down there. If I was just to swing and hit this and hope that it gets down there, the result is never going to be as consistent and as good as it should be. So I'm just going to play one specific shot. I've got a point I want to hit. I'm only going to try and hit this about 160. 7-iron, just a nice controlled golf swing, but onto that darker patch of grass. That looks good to me. Had to follow the turf a little bit because it was a bit downhill, but I'm exactly where I need to be. So let's go. So here we are, laid up. I would say I was about 5 yards from my initial spot, because the sort of darker patch I was trying to hit is just here. But I'm pretty happy with that result. Now, you know, we've got about 75, 80 yards to go here. What most of you would do is pick up your sand wedge and make a sort of full swing and just kind of guess at it. And again, most of you would either end up in the front bunker or short right. You need to just really realize that, where do we want to be? The flag is back right. The wind is pulling left to right here, okay? It's pulling left to right that way. So the confident, more positive, sensible shot is to feel a swing that stays a bit lower, that goes a bit further towards the back of the green and has control. That's the sensation that I want. So I'm going to choose towards the back of the tree. The back of the tree at the back of the green, rather. I'm not necessarily aiming for the flag right now, but there's my plan. I'm picking my intermediate point. But I'm not just picking up a sand wedge and hitting it full, because that's what most of you would do. I've got my 54, so for me, I'm just going to try and hit a low kind of controlled shot. I'm not guessing at it, and the swing is going to feel that way. That's the shot I want to do. So whether I execute it perfectly or not, I've got a plan. I've got a strategy, and I'm going to try and execute it with confidence, okay? So that went exactly where I want it to be. I aimed for the tree towards the back of the green. It was a sensible shot. I haven't hit a wedge or, for a couple of weeks actually, but that was the idea. Because I set that plan, because I was focused in my intent, the chance of it going where I want it to be is much greater. So quit guessing. On the golf course, you've got to set a plan. You've got to just take a moment to not just pick up, oh, it's 80 yards, that's my sand wedge, I'm going to hit it full. Just take a moment to think about what you're trying to do, please. And it is going to pay dividends to your scores, to your consistency. All right, so here we are on the green. I'm obviously going to repair my pitch mark. I've got a bit of backspin, but I did what I said I was going to do. I didn't just choose the club for the yardage. I didn't just try and hit a high sand iron. I thought about it just for the briefest of moments, and the result, even though I'm not next to the pin, it was a safe play because that was my plan. I didn't know how much the wind was going to affect it. I didn't know how good my contact was going to be. And the same applies to putts. We're going to go into this in more detail later on, but there has to be a plan. This is genuinely my first putt on these greens, okay? So I'm just going to go through this quickly, but the quick plan is I can see that the ground is coming from the top. That's where the water would run. That's how we read a green. The water would run that way, but they look quite slick to me. But my plan is just to make sure I two-putt here because it's downhill, it's left to right. I don't really know how fast the greens are, so I'm going to pick my line. I'm going to pick an intermediate point as I putt over, but my plan here is to two-putt. And you might think all the time, well, that's my plan, to two-putt. But I just want this to die, just to have a nice slow pace ending up near the hole. That's my plan. I'm not just thinking, I want to hold this putt, okay? I don't actually care if I don't want it to go in. If it goes in, it's sort of luck. The feel I want is just to have a sensation of the putt dying down. So there's my rehearsal. There's my plan. I'm aiming about a foot to the left just to let it die. And that'll do me very nicely. If I had just gone up there and thought I'm trying to haul it, I probably would have raced it too far past and I'd be struggling to make par. But that was the easiest par in the world. 3-wood, 7-iron, wedge, 2-putt. Piece of cake. But the only reason that worked out is because I followed a plan. I didn't just guess at each shot. You saw the results when I wasn't guessing. So be precise. And hopefully just this little walkthrough gives you the insight to how effective this can be and how important it is to have that plan. Hi, I'm Alex Fortey and I want to introduce you to the Art of Simple Golf Club. This was born out of the overcomplication that plagues the golf industry, that kills your golf game. So what we have done is recreate a real golf club that you play wherever you are in the world online. So we have the clubhouse, we have the 19th hole, we have the putting green, the short game area, the driving range, the lesson tee, and we have the golf course where it matters the most to really help you play your ideal golf game every time you tee it up. We have new courses added every single month to help you go from A to B all the way through to Z. These series are designed to help you play your very best golf without overloading you with information, with just 1 or 2 bite-sized tips that you can go and apply right now. I will see you on the other side.